What if I told you that a South African Minister of Police allegedly stopped a criminal case, and not just any criminal case, a case against the head of intelligence of South Africa? And what if I told you that that same minister, that police minister, now acting as a diplomat in Paris, would later be found dead after a fall from a 22nd floor building of the Hyatt Hotel in Paris, just days after his name was dropped in a commission investigating police and political interference? I couldn't even make this up if I wanted to. Welcome to my channel, and today we are going over General Mkhwanazi, South Africa's Bay's latest explosive claims against now dead diplomat Nathi Mthethwa. Now, in 2025, in June, for a brief background, General Mkhwanazi, KwaZulu-Natal's top cop, walked into Parliament and dropped some bombs. He has been spilling all the tea. He has been testifying in front of a Parliament's ad hoc committee, and he claimed that back in 2011, Police Minister Nathi Mthethwa personally ordered the withdrawal of a criminal case against Chief of Intelligence Richard Mdluli. Now, this was not because of a lack of evidence. There was allegedly clear evidence. It was because it was politically explosive. Now, we know from testimony in the Madlanga Commission that police ministers' roles are just in policy making. For example, they are supposed to set an initiative saying, hey, let's get more guns off the streets, and then task teams under them by the police commissioners are developed in order to do that. The police minister is not supposed to interfere directly in units, in policies, in cases, and this was set up in our constitution because people who set up our constitution, I firmly believe South Africa has one of the best constitutions in the world, they didn't want political interference happening, and they put this safeguard in place. Now, we know that General Mkhwanazi, at the time, he wanted to pursue this case against Richard Mdluli. This was in 2011, but he couldn't because the case was dropped from the police minister himself, then Nathi Mthethwa. Now, these revelations came to light during his testimony before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It is a commission that is occurring in South Africa to investigate political interference in the SAPS, and later live on camera before Parliament's ad hoc committee. You can literally watch it unfold in real time. I'm going to clip it in here. And General Mkhwanazi has been dropping names. He has been spilling all the tea.
Mdluli must be charged. She wants to withdraw that letter. So when I ask her, but why you want to withdraw the letter of a criminal case? You've read the case and you wrote to me and you say, Mdluli must go and face the music. Why do you want to withdraw it? And she said, no. It's my career now in line. So I need to withdraw that. I made a wrong decision. I should not have said Mdluli must be charged, which means she touched the wrong people in the higher echelon of maybe within the police structures or in government that did not want Mdluli to be charged. And I refused to come back and withdraw the letter. And then I received a phone call from the Minister of Police, Nathi Mthethwa, commissioners. I went to his residence in Waterkloof. And when I arrived there, the Inspector General is sitting on one side of the table, Mr. Mthethwa is sitting on the other side of the table. The minister says to me that I forced the Inspector General of Intelligence to write the letter that says, Mkhwanazi is wrong, this matter must go to court. She said, I forced her. Then I told her, I said, no, Minister, Advocate Khateb is an old woman. She's an advocate. How can I point a gun at her and force her to write a letter? Besides, when this letter was written in her office, and she actually is not the author of the letter. The author of the letter is Advocate J. Govender, who is an experienced prosecutor person who's working in that office. She's the one that drafted the letter, not you, not the Inspector General of Intelligence. The minister didn't want to hear any of that. A simple say, we must stop prosecuting Mdluli, we must stop disciplinary case against Mdluli. Now, if we talk about political interference, that was the worst I've ever experienced. At that time, Commissioner, I come from the specialized operation. The only thing I know is to chase criminals. And I'm promoted to become the acting National Commissioner, and I'm confronted with this in front of me. And I said, but this is not what I signed for when I joined the police. This can't be right. The minister can't give me these instructions. Then I said to the minister, maybe you brought me into this position and you thought you were going to use me as a pawn because perhaps of my age or whatever, but you are wrong. I'm not going to do that.
So what are the latest claims against Nathi Mthethwa? Well, there are three things, and each one is really explosive. The first one is that Mkhwanazi says Mthwethwa called a meeting with him and the Inspector General of Intelligence, Faith Radabe, demanding that they drop the case against Richard Mdluli. Mdluli was accused of using taxpayer money for his own good, basically safe houses and for travel. He was using them himself, so he didn't have to pay for it. And the reason Mdluli was politically connected and prosecution could expose too much information. The second is the misuse of secret police funds. Now, in front of the Parliament Ad Hoc Committee, Mkhwanazi went further. He said that Nathi Mthethwa used money from that same secret slush fund that the crime intelligence and police has access to build a perimeter around his homestead.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, people will say Mkhwanazi is very insensitive, but when we talk the honest truth, we must tell the truth. The country was in pain to listen to how much of money was spent at the former president's house, homestead at Nhlanhla, because there was an accountability that was happening at the time. But this government has never paid attention on the amount of expenditure that was incurred by crime intelligence over years. Interrogate that within the Secret Service account, the misuse of the Secret Service account. Obviously, the Joint Standing Committee is supposed to do that. It's disturbing when reports supposed to be presented to such structures to hold people accountable. Nothing happens to it. We are sitting today, the country is in mourning because we lost one of our ambassadors in France. But then ambassador was a minister of police. As you switch on the television and you watch the homestead of the former minister of police, you're going to see a very big wall, perimeter wall, that was built by the money from crime intelligence.
Link in pictures of his homestead and the perimeter. And this is meant for undercover operations, and it was privately used by Mthethwa, according to Mkhwanazi, to build a wall. And get this, Mthethwa claimed that he didn't even know about it. He said, I don't know how that wall appeared on my property. Now, corruption is still alive today. Mkhwanazi warned us that the same shady practices continue inside crime intelligence. They are just better hidden. People have just gotten better at, hiding their deeds. Now, this wasn't just a media headline. This has reignited one of the biggest scandals in the SAPS history. Mdluli, remember, once ran an entire intelligence unit until he was convicted himself of kidnapping and assault in a case that was linked to his personal life.
Let's focus on some other stories now as well, making headlines today. In the High Court, then out in Johannesburg, they've sentenced former crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli and his accomplice there, Mthethwa, to 5 years in prison. Now, the case relates to the murder in 1999 of Opa Ramokhebe, who allegedly had a relationship with Mdluli's customary wife, Tshidi Buthelezi. Now, both suspects were sentenced to 3 years for 2 counts of kidnapping, which will run concurrently. 2 years imprisonment for common assault, which will also run concurrently, as well as 2 years for assault of GBH.
Now, Mkhwanazi says that those who are protecting him went right to the top of government. And if it's true, it means that South Africa's intelligence operations have been severely compromised and manipulated for political loyalty, not justice. Now, questions to follow that I personally have is, who gave the order and why? Who is these top officials in government that General Mkhwanazi keeps referring to? Where did the money come from for that wall? We know it was taxpayer money. How was it accounted for? Because we know that there's certain accounting purposes that need to be done. And will anyone, if anyone, face justice and criminal charges for what looks like a deliberate obstruction of justice? Now, Parliament's ad hoc committee is now investigating these claims, but Mkhwanazi isn't backing down. He told MPs that this is the reason he lost his earlier acting commissioner post. So he has personally suffered from this. This isn't just about one wall or one case. It is about how power and secrecy collide inside our justice system. If you believe South Africans deserve transparency, share this video, because stories like these disappear fast if we do not talk about it.